few weeks ago, ESPN did a league survey, talked to a bunch of GMs, scouts, people within NBA organizations, and that was a baby survey. Okay, it was like 7 questions, basic ones: best offseason, worst offseason, who's going to win the chip, best player in the league, this, that, whatever. That is just the appetizer. That is the antipasta to the 7 fish dinner that is the NBA's general manager survey. When the league does their GM survey, these motherfuckers ask like 45 questions about the award winners, about the rookies, about the international talent, about just every award, this, that, whatever. There is so much content to be discussed with the league's GM survey, and I love it. It's tremendous. In last season's NBA GM survey, the defending champions Milwaukee Bucks were not the favorites to repeat. Instead, the favorites were the Brooklyn Nets, and we all know how well that went. This year, the Bucks lost in Game 7 of the conference semis. Now they're the title favorite for the first time in the 21-year history of the GM survey. They're not an overwhelming favorite, though. In fact, this is just the third time in the last 13 years that no team received at least 50% of the GM's votes to win the titles. I think that this is great for the league. I remember when motherfuckers were like, oh, the NBA has no parity. Oh, the NBA has the same teams going to the finals every year. And it's like, yeah, they were right. Okay. Sorry, that's just how the NBA plays out. That's how the NBA has always played out. The NBA is fundamentally different from football, the second most popular sport in America, because in football, you don't have dynasties. Well, you have one. You have the Patriots. And then you had the Steelers back in the day and the Giants in the 90s. But dynasties in football do not pop up that often. Whereas in basketball, you could have 2 dynasties per decade, going back to the 60s. Okay, the only decade that featured, or the decade with the most parity, those are the fucking words I was trying to say, was the 70s, when no team won more than 2 titles. Compare that with the Celtics, who dominated the 60s, the Celtics and Lakers, who dominated the 80s, the Bulls, who dominated the 90s, the Lakers, the Spurs, the Celtics, the Lakers again, the Heat, the Warriors. Like, I don't give a about all of this parody shit because it's fun to watch. I don't care that I know that LeBron is going to go to the finals every year, because when LeBron does go to the finals every year, this man averages a triple double, okay, and sends Jason Terry to Mordor on a alley oop. I don't recall when exactly I said it. I think it was during the finals, but I think that much like the 70s, this decade will not feature a legitimate dynasty. There is simply too much talent in the league now. It's only going to become more and more talented. The teams are only going to get better and better. And because of that, you are more liable to get your ass cheeks clapped as a defending champion. So I'm glad to see that there is this much parity. And I'm excited for this season. This might be the most fun I have watching basketball probably since I was in like 10th or 11th grade, back when LeBron was with Miami. I mean, I enjoyed the Warriors as well, but like, I think I'm also biased because the Nets are also like projected to win a title this year, and that's playing into it. But which team will win the NBA Finals? The Bucks are number 1 with 43%, followed by the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Celtics. I think that Milwaukee should be the favorite. I don't have any beef with this list. The only beef I have is after everything that has also gone on with the Celtics in regards to the Ime Udoka situation, I do think that they struggle a lot this year. I like the Clippers at number 3. The Clippers are my second favorite team in the Western Conference. I'll probably do a power rankings before the year starts, just to give myself a little bit more time to study up on it. But the Western Conference, I think the Clippers fully healthy with the addition of John Wall. You get Kawhi back. You have PG. I think that they're going to be the most dangerous team to the Warriors. Overall, I have no qualms with Milwaukee being atop this list. I think that's the proper choice. As far as the East, next up is the Eastern Conference rankings in this order: Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, Brooklyn, Miami, and Cleveland. I also think that this list is fine. As I see it, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Nets are the 4 best teams in the conference. Miami is close. Cleveland is close as well, as is Atlanta. I'm not really going to break this down too much just because it's kind of moot since there is so much depth in the East that it almost like doesn't fucking matter. Like any of the 7 or 8 best teams can make a deep run. That includes Chicago, who will hopefully get Lonzo Ball back at some point. For the West, a little bit less parity is basically just the Clippers and Golden State, first and second, either or, followed by Phoenix, Denver, and Memphis. Folks are really low on Dallas as well for some reason, judging by this poll. Dallas is tied for 6th with Minnesota. That's tough, man. They still have Luka. They have Christian Wood now as well. Obviously, Memphis, still a great team. I just think that Dallas is a top 4 seed this year. Also couple that with me also believing that the Suns are going to be in absolute shambles. That's my justification. The Lakers barely making the playoffs in this poll, which I agree with. New Orleans right behind them. I think the New Orleans are the Pelicans, if nothing else, are going to be fun to watch. You got Brandon Ingram, you got Zion coming back as well. CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, going to be a lot of fun to watch. And of course, they really busted their asses playing the Suns in the postseason last year. So now we're on to the player portion. Who will win the 2022-2023 Kia MVP? I think ESPN had this same poll. I don't recall who won that one. This one breaks down Luka, Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Steph Curry. I think that Jason Tatum wins NBA MVP this year. I love Luka. I think Luka will be a finalist. I think Embiid wins a finalist or is a finalist as well. Steph's going to be there. Giannis is going to be there. It's just, again, so much talent. So much talent. And I think that Jason Tatum is going to make another leap in regards to being a playmaker and a defender, and he's just going to have a dense stat line with excellent shooting splits. And the Celtics are going to play very well. It's just when it gets down to it, how are they going to compare to Milwaukee and Philly? Because that narrative is going to play a lot into the MVP as well. I think Joel Embiid has a solid shot because he's been a finalist 2 years in a row. He probably going to average 30 again this year. And I don't know if the media is going to feel like they fucked up by giving it to Jokic last year, which they shouldn't, because Jokic was a rightful winner, and you could have made the case for Joel Embiid. But it's going to be a fucking very interesting race. And I think the best part about it is that, again, there's so much talent that it's basically impossible to pick the wrong MVP. Like, even if you gave it to Kevin Durant's going to have an MVP caliber year this year if he stays healthy. So, same thing with Ja Morant. I picked Ja Morant to be my dark horse MVP last season. Didn't quite play out, but, dude's probably going to average like 25 and 10 this year. He's going to look like Kevin Johnson on steroids. This next question is probably this question is awesome. If you were starting a franchise today and could sign any NBA player, who would it be? There are 2 choices for this. The GMs were almost split 50-50 between Giannis and Luka, which is the right call. As it stands, Giannis and Luka are the only guys. They are the 2 best players of the next generation. It's the right choice. It's like back in the day, if you could pick any 2 players to start if you could pick a player, are you picking LeBron or KD? Like, there's no one else. It's Luka and it's Giannis. Even if it's for the short term, for the long term, like it's even more clear that they're the guys. So yeah, I'm picking Giannis personally, just because also Giannis has already won a title. He's, cemented himself as the next greatest of all time. Luka is not quite there yet. I think in a few years' time, this question will literally be 50-50. It will be like the most polarizing debate that NBA Twitter has ever seen. Which player forces opposing coaches to make the most adjustments? Steph Curry. I think this one is pretty clear. Like, he won 52%, followed by Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, Luka. Steph is literally unguardable. It doesn't matter what defense you tried out there. If you trap, if you blitz, if you hedge the screen, if you go under the screen, you're fucked. You're giving up a three. When you're guarding a guy like Embiid or Jokic, they don't force you to make adjustments because a lot of the time they are getting the ball on the block and they are just beating your center's ass. You can't adjust to that. There's no adjustment you can make on Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic or Giannis, at least in theory. When it comes to Steph, you can at least try to alter how your team guards him coming off a pin down, or how if you employ a box and one, or if you decide to even like your personnel matchups. And because of that, it becomes even harder to guard him because he's so electrifying and the Warriors' offense is so dynamic that there really is no adjustment that you can make. So I'm rolling with Steph here, very clearly the favorite for this one. Kevin Durant also received votes. Ja Morant received votes as well. Kevin Durant is kind of in the same boat as like Embiid because you're not there. There's no adjustment you can make because Kevin Durant's just going to shoot over whoever you put on him. The adjustment that you make is like the scripture that you say when you're guarding him, but other than that, there's nothing you can do. Which player is most likely to have a breakout season this year? Evan Mobley wins 21%. Cade Cunningham close at 17%, as is Anthony Edwards. And then Zion as well, getting 14% of the vote. Also receiving votes, Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert, Jalen Green, Tyrese Halliburton, Jonathan Kuminga, Tyrese Maxey, Ben Simmons, Anthony Simons, and Franz Wagner. I think my take is kind of contrarian with this one. I think that Saddiq Bey is the breakout player this year in Detroit. Love Evan Mobley, but Evan Mobley has too much talent around him. Garland, Mitchell, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert. There's going to be very few touches for him on the offensive end. On defense, it's a different story. But we'll see how Mobley's game has evolved over his first offseason. I think he's going to have a breakout year, or at least be better compared to his previous season. But Saddiq Bey in Detroit, playing off of Cade Cunningham, who's going to see a tremendous amount of pressure this season, he's my pick. Just looking at his numbers last year, 16 points, and he didn't shoot that great. He shot below 40%, which of course is horrible for really any guy who's a volume shooter. But if he shoots at 45% this year, it's like a 6, 7, 8-point swing. So I'm rolling with Saddiq Bey. I can't believe that he didn't get any votes. This question is a layup. Best point guard in the NBA, Steph Curry. We're moving on. Honestly, I can't believe anyone even picked anybody else. Like they threw Luka on here. They threw Chris Paul on here. They threw Trae Young on here. No, Luka has the most compelling case compared to Steph Curry because in not every major statistical category, but numbers say that Luka is more productive than Steph. But your eyes tell you that Steph, as it stands right now, is the best at his position. It's up to Luka to grab that title from him. And then it also gets into the debate like, we're so positionless in the NBA now. Why are we still pigeonholing these players? Luka also gets votes for shooting guard. I mean, Steph Curry got votes for shooting guard as well. So it's like all this discrepancy, I think, comes down to certain GMs just envisioning their guys or envisioning certain guys as things that they are not. But Steph Curry at shooting guard is such a fucking odd placement because he's very clearly not the shooting guard in San Fran. That's very clearly not his position. Luka, okay, I get it. He operates as both. Steph is not a shooting guard, my guy. Best small forward in the Luka got fucking votes for small forward too. I'm gonna pass out. Kevin Durant, best small forward in the NBA. Clip it and ship it. I'm not putting Luka at small forward. He's not that. He is a backcourt player. I know he's got small forward size, but he's a backcourt player. LeBron's there, Kawhi's there, Jason Tatum's there. Those are the four horsemen. Rank them as you wish, but Kevin Durant, from the scoring perspective, from a playmaking perspective, from a defensive perspective, from an efficiency perspective, he's better than everybody here. I do think that Jason Tatum can potentially take the crown from these guys, though. Let's let's wait and see. Best power forward, Giannis, no debate there, and the best center, Nikola Jokic, 79 to 17%. Joel Embiid is second at 17. This is one that I would think would be closer because, I don't know, literally these guys like Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis were the 3 MVP finalists this past year. I would imagine that it would be closer. So this is one that I'm not sure I'd be able to vote on because it's too difficult. Forcing me to pick between Jokic and Embiid, I'm gonna say Jokic just because he has more utility on offense. But again, like it really just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Offseason moves. Which team had the best overall offseason? Cleveland 41%, Minnesota 17, Philly 17, Utah 17. Why the fuck is Utah on here? Yes, Cleveland. I think I got to start breezing through these because this shit is mighty long. And I've already been talking about this for like 20 minutes. Cleveland had the best offseason. One player acquisition will make the biggest impact. Donovan Mitchell. Duh. What was the most underrated player acquisition? Malcolm Brogdon, Boston, 28%. Totally vibe with that. PJ Tucker and John Wall both at 14%. D'Anthony Melton at 10%. Bojan Bogdanovic at 7%. Which team will be the most improved? LA 41%. I think so. They were bounced in the play-in this year, I believe. Just really a skeleton crew and not the same without Kawhi Leonard. Cleveland gonna get some votes as well. New Orleans, but I definitely think the Clippers. What was the most surprising offseason move? Rudy Gobert to Minnesota. I think Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland personally, but this was a close poll. It was 47% Gobert to Minnesota and 43% Mitchell to Cleveland. I think Mitchell to Cleveland because as far as I was concerned, like that those talks were not even happening. Like they stopped talking to the Knicks and he gets traded to the Cavs. Will be the rookie of the year, Paolo Banchero, 79%. I think so. The rookie shit, I just be honest, man, I haven't been keeping up with the rookies. I know very not good of me, but I don't know, for whatever reason I wasn't really invested in this rookie class. So I'm kind of just going to send it in on this one. Which rookie will be the best player in 5 years? Paolo again, 31%. Which rookie was the biggest steal when he was selected? Jalen Duren at 13, Tari Eason at 17. Both of them got 14% of the vote. Who's the best international player in the NBA? Giannis, really no debate there. Who's the best international player not in the NBA? And this is fascinating. 45% of GMs voted for Victor Wembanyama. As you guys know, Victor Wembanyama has gotten a significant amount of press lately because he is a super unique basketball player out of France. He's like 7'3". He's got Rudy Gobert size, but he handles the ball like a wing. It's the strangest combination that I don't think anyone has ever seen before. And he's like 17, I think. So all the GMs towards the bottom of the league are very high on him. And that's evidenced by this poll. I mean, Nikola Mirotic coming in at 28%, Vasily Micic at 21%. I don't know who Vasily Micic is. He sounds like he's Greek or something. I don't know who that is. Nikola Mirotic he played with the Bulls the middle of last decade, and he took less money to return to overseas where, like he would get similar money but be a better player. And of course there's that whole thing where living in the States is significantly different to living in Europe, and that's a huge factor in why certain international players just like don't pan out, because it's so different here culturally. On to defense. Who's the best defensive player in the NBA? Giannis at 48%, Draymond Green at 24%, Gobert at 10%. Giannis is the best because of his versatility. Rudy Gobert is the best interior defender. Draymond Green is the best defensive anchor, the best defensive general, also very good at, defending on the perimeter and defending in the post. But Giannis has all of the same upsides as Draymond Green, but with tremendous size and athleticism. So, yes. Also weird that Marcus Smart, the reigning defensive player of the year, is not on here. I'm putting Marcus Smart over Rudy Gobert, definitely, but still taking Giannis over Smart because Giannis simply has more versatility. on that end. Best perimeter defender is Marcus Smart, no question there. Drew Holiday getting some love as well. Kawhi Leonard, McCall Bridges. Best interior defender, Rudy Gobert. Again, not much debate there. Most versatile, Giannis, 41% of the vote. Again, I literally just said that. Not a surprise there. The best defensive team in the NBA is the Boston Celtics with 69% of the vote. Very nice. Yeah, either them or the Warriors. The Warriors were second at 10%. Um, as it stands, I mean, what the Celtics did during the second half of this most recent season was insane. Absolutely just like deranged effort from them on defense. So I have no issues anointing Boston as the best defense.